Hi guys, my name is Asriel 101, and God, the person I'm ranting on is so bad. Ugh. Heads up. This video was supposed to be about Robert Gaylord, but... So now I'm just gonna be doing a dumbass.
Before this video begins, I would like to give people a few warnings. If you've seen this kind of video before,
My eardrums are broken!
Before this video begins, I would like to give people a few warnings. If you've seen this kind of video before, as in several other top 10 worst modern cartoons list, like
Phantom Strider, who actually made a better video than you. And you'll see what I mean by that later, but let's just talk about what he was doing, what he was talking about, because it's horrible.
I recommend not watching this video. Most of the opinions I give in this video aren't anything new or interesting. It's basically the same opinion you've heard from plenty of other people.
Dude, what the hell? Whenever anybody straight up says that, you're gonna make all your viewers want to leave it and watch their videos. You basically screwed yourself over, but...
It's true you may not have seen some of those top 10 videos before, but I'm giving this warning out to anybody who's seen plenty of these kind of videos before anyway. Oh, and as for the issues that were left in the original video, I can say that most of them are definitely gonna be fixed.
Well, we're gonna have a fun time with this, are we?
Issues that were left in the original video, I can say that most of them are definitely gonna be fixed. Anyway, with that warning out of the way, let's just get right into the video. You know, guys, I love cartoons.
Not even a minute into this and I'm already encountering a lot of problems. Remember when I said I would find my evidence? Well, I found my evidence, of course. There's two problems. You only use Phantom Strider's footage, which made a better video. This will make problems. Problems I'll get to later, oh my god. And the second problem is that avatar. You just stole the avatar from the Dick Figures movie, and even your collab partner, who I'll get to, is just ripoff for the Dick Figures movie.
Guys, I love cartoons. Who doesn't? They're funny, creative, well animated. There's tons of cartoons out there that I love. But underneath the bridge are those cartoons that just make me cringe. Cartoons that I can't stand to watch. Good God, I hate all of these stupid
Yoshi, calm down.
What the?
Also, take note what he said about the cartoons he'll be talking about. I watch most of these cartoons, and almost all of them are from Phantom Strider. This problem will be relevant when he's talking about shows that weren't on Phantom Strider's list.
Stupid
Yoshi, calm down.
What the? Nick, what are you doing here?
Well, I got tired of animating the Adventures of Stakes. Seriously, that's why it's taking so long. So I decided to do this list with you. And also because I have quite a few things to say about plenty of these cartoons too.
Well,
really? Because later on, especially later on, you don't really voice your opinions at all.
And also because I have quite a few things to say about plenty of these cartoons too.
well, okay, whatever you say. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Nick Figures is here today to help me present my new list. The top 10 worst cartoons I have ever seen. Now, there's going to be a few...
I thought there was worse modern cartoons. Sure, I might be nitpicking, but it's still an error inside your video, and I'm supposed to count all your errors. And if you think I'm bad, you're really gonna hate CinemaSins, oh my god.
new list. The top 10 worst cartoons I have ever seen. Now, there's going to be a few rules before we begin. Number 1, there won't be any web cartoons. If there was, I'd probably put Happy Tree Friends at like number 4 or something.
Hey!
Take note of what he said about Happy Tree Friends being number 4, because, because in entries 8 through 4, he said that Happy Tree Friends is better, but Happy Tree Friends is supposed to be number 4. So technically you're just bullshitting us. I can understand, I've done that before.
Hey!
Rule number 2. This list is only going to contain TV shows. It won't be containing any movies. But don't worry, for all of you expecting me to do a top 10 worst animated movies list, I've already gotten that one under control. And remember, if you love or hate any of these shows, there's completely nothing wrong with that. I'm not judging any of these shows by what everybody else thinks of them. This is my list depending on how I felt about this show.
Number 1, baby! Well, you're gonna start hating yourself after this.
This show. Anyway, with that out of the way, let's just get right into the list. You ever had that video game franchise you loved so much, and then have it ruined by money-grabbing morons? Well, our beloved Yellow Ball fell into that category. The number 10 spot goes to Pac-Man and the Ghostly Adventures. Let me just make it quick. For the most part, I find this show to be very unlikable. Most of the characters have either a personality of being either mean-spirited or light-hearted at the same time. There are some scenes that are so mean that I was cringing. The voices? Good God, I hate the voices. Every single voice in this show has a very high-pitched tone of voice, and it's not good.
Bitch, no. No. I won't let this stand. I actually like Pac-Man and the Ghostly Adventures. And you're saying about the voice acting sucks? Betrayus' voice sounds like a god. And it's not my fault I like it. It's your opinion. Yeah. But you're saying it sounds like trash. And what about your partner? No, nothing.
Especially Pac-Man's voice. He sounds like a little kid, and I get it. This show is a spin-off. It's supposed to be different, but you have to keep Pac-Man at the character he was. Second,
Where in the games did it said that Pac-Man was an adult? Plus, his personality is just that he loves eating. And in the clip you showed, it shows that he loves eating.
Second, I hate what they did with Pac-Man's design. His Pac-Man world design was memorable, likable, and nice to look at. Why the hell would I want to hang out with a Pac-Man that looks like this?
Oh look, one of those scenes where Van Strader said the exact same thing. And also, he just changed his shoes and eyes. That's it. It still looks even cuter than before. So just shut up and just go play some Minecraft. I don't really care. Just kill yourself.
Top it off with bad animation and stupid pop culture references, Pac-Man and the Ghostly Adventures is probably the worst show based on a video game ever.
Shut the fuck up. First off, I have a problem with everything. The animation is CGI. It's meant to look like that. Second, give evidence of where the pop cultures are. And third, it's supposed to be top modern worst cartoons. Not just action.
Show based on a video game ever. Number 9 is a weird one. I couldn't put the entire show on this list because then it would defeat the purpose of my love for the classic episodes, but after some thinking around for a bit, I still think this one fits. So, at number 9 is SpongeBob SquarePants Seasons 4 to 8.
Yeah.
Actually, no. It doesn't actually deserve to be on the list because SpongeBob started in 2000. Plus, you have to put the entire show on the list because then it wouldn't be fair to the classic cartoons. I don't really care if you like the classic more, but it's still not fair. Season 4 through 8 doesn't really match. It has to be the entire show no matter what. And what about season 9 and 10?
Yeah, I really don't like modern SpongeBob either. But I kind of feel like it's starting to change a little bit.
True, Season 9 has been getting the show back on track, but we just can't forget about how awful some of these episodes were.
Still, you have to add season 9 and 10. It's not fair. Plus, then, if you added season 1, 2, 3, and 9 and 10, then, well, it shouldn't really be on the list because you like it so much.
Yeah, SpongeBob had some really dark times.
Okay then. Well anyways, if you still think this show is actually good at this point, let us explain. The main reason why we don't like modern SpongeBob was because
Remember when you said that you're not going to judge or criticize anyone who likes these shows? Well, you basically dug yourself your own grave. Multiple ones, in fact. Because
of how mean-spirited it was. It adds mostly to the fact that all of the characters were flanderized to the maximum. The biggest example is probably SpongeBob. He became a stalker, a crybaby, and an annoying idiot. Patrick turned into a gigantic prick. Squidward turned into a poor, nice guy who just gets tortured all the time because they think he's the bad guy. And Mr. Krabs turned into a greedy boss who cares about money and nothing else.
Mr. Krabs' personality started from the beginning of the show. I mean, earlier on, Like in season 3, he pointed out how he only gives his workers a nickel a day. I give evidence, yay. Post-editing time. Well, while I haven't really seen the dates between Phantom Strider's video, because he made a different video, so I don't really know if the guy knew it, but I probably think he does.
A lot would argue that the characters were the same in the earlier seasons, but there's differences. In the older days, SpongeBob's character was more balanced and well written. True, he did act like a child, but he still had a lot of maturity within him. Oh, and whenever he was crying, it was usually more understandable, and we could feel sorry for him. Patrick's stupidity was usually just used for jokes, and he occasionally wasn't acting so smart. Now that he is, he's become an absolute prick. You know, in episodes like Yours, Mine, and Mine and The Card, Squidward's torture was deserving back then because he was actually being a jerk to SpongeBob, and it was so deserving to see him get his comeuppance. It's true that Mr. Krabs did have a love for money, but he also had a care for his employees and his own daughter.
Yeah.
Did you actually have evidence that he cared for Pearl? Really? No? Well, your claim goes out the window then. Guess how backfire works.
Yeah, plus the gross out. They literally yanked out Squidward's nail in one episode. It wasn't even like he deserved it. It was more mean-spirited than funny. Plus, it's just downright disturbing to watch, especially for a kid's cartoon. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. There are so many other moments like this. Oh, and we can't forget about those close-ups. In the older episodes, the close-ups were usually just wrinkles. They were also done once or twice per season. Nowadays, the close-ups are even more detailed, and even more disgusting than before. Remember this close-up?
Hey, mister! Look at me, mister! Look at me! Is there something wrong with me?
Needless to say, we still really hate modern SpongeBob. Despite the fact it's getting better, I'll still have terrible nightmares of these seasons.
Way to use copyrighted footage of exaggeration just to prove a point.
When it comes to Disney XD cartoons, they've had some really good shows recently. Shows like Gravity Falls and Star vs. the Forces of Evil are really great cartoons. But then this piece of shit shows up. Pickle and Peanut. First of all,
Yay! Saying unpopular opinions that famous YouTubers already said just to prove a point again! How unpopular?
First of all, it's hard to believe that someone like Disney would produce this show, since they're mostly known for coming up with original ideas.
What part about Pickle and Peanut isn't unoriginal? No evidence? Wow.
This show's animation just looks awful. Most of the design choices look really confusing, and what makes it worse is the stock imagery. I can already tell this cartoon is trying to copy Breadwinners. But you know something? At least Breadwinners had some really cute character designs, and the stock imagery was only used for the background ducks.
By that point, you think he would be an original point, right? Wrong. Because Breadwinners is not, because he's not only bullshitting, because Breadwinners is a number 2. So your point saying that Breadwinners is better, well, is at number 2.
Our two main characters as stock images, and it just looks lazy. I also feel like this show is also trying to be like SpongeBob, because they have those disturbing close-ups that just look either lazy or really disgusting. The voice acting is terrible, because it's literally mostly just two guys voicing most of the characters. And would you believe me if I said that's actually true? Well,
Okay, there's many bad things about this, so let's just get this off. First off, Bugs Bunny. Most of them are actually almost all the same character, so you can't really argue with that. And second part, South Park. Matt Stone and Trey Parker voiced everything. Also, when I looked up Doodletone's video on this, she actually proved that there's a lot more than 2. Also, Pickle and Peanut's voice are amazing. Peanut sounds good.
I have 2 words to say. My eyes! My eyes! They freaking hurt! Yeah, it's the problem solvers. In fact, for this entry, the only thing you're gonna see is a still image, because I don't want to show you the whole cartoon because it will probably give you a seizure.
Another unpopular opinion. And two, you're just lazy. That's a lie, you're lazy. And anyways, remember what I said about when Phantom Strider never used these injuries? This is what I'm talking about. So if you're extremely uncomfortable, you probably just skipped over here. I know you did. So yeah, he's just using a still image because he's lazy and couldn't find another video. In fact, I think that's the reason why he didn't know that Mr. Krabs' personality was like that in the beginning.
This show, and I'm sorry to admit that there was a time when I liked this show. When I was younger, I wanted to be hip with the kids, or however you say it, and I thought everyone liked this show, but now I see it's a pile of demon dung. But I'm not ashamed to admit that within the first 4 episodes, even as a kid, I started to get a little annoyed by it. Also,
Finally, your collab partner says his own opinion. And what is this, Seth? Also, I forgot to add a part where he says is lazy, even though they obviously put effort. And he's gonna see that.
The animation is really bad. Don't get me wrong, bad animation isn't a terrible thing. Some intentionally bad animation can actually work. Like my series on YouTube, The Adventures of Nick, shameless promotion, has squiggly lines under text to make it look intentionally bad. But that can work with this, but the animation is so bad you can't even use that excuse.
Okay, I agree with you on this one. The animation is bad, but promoting your own channel? Hi guys, my name is Asriel 101, and my animation's better than an official Stootsy. Do you realize how stupid you sound by saying that? And I want to call the police on your partner. Also, remember Phantom Strider? You know, technically your god because he took all of his footage? Well, he actually says this about the animation in one of his videos. I'm not going to complain about it because his video came after, but I still want to make a point. What a professional I am. I deserved a grand.
Problem solvers. I almost want to give this an honorable mention. This is just beautiful colors and animation. Whatever was I originally complaining about? I long for the days when animation was colorful and varied enough to evoke a seizure. Mega.
You might call it a joke, but I call it as a point, so get off my back now, please. Also, the reason why it also looks bad is because it was meant to be for Adult Swim, but for some reason Cartoon Network put it on their studio. I don't know why, I just wanted to mention that. It also makes my own point even better than yours.
It's supposed to look bad, but in my honest opinion, I just see it as really lazy.
I think many of you can already tell what's wrong with this show. The colors are everywhere. You see, in most cartoons, you're supposed to keep the background colors very dark or less colorful so you can put more focus on the main characters.
Not even talking about that not everything has to be dark. What's wrong with dark? This Technicolor is unique and it makes it original. Plus, well, I just like it. It's just very unique. Plus, not everything has to be dark because it actually takes away from the entire show and makes people click. Okay, what old me was trying to say is that it takes away focus from the show and then people will eventually change the channel. Something I know you want to do.
This show, I don't think understood that concept very well. The show gave me a migraine just from watching the first episode, so much so I couldn't ever watch it again. But apparently, I had to for the sake of this video.
Oh, hello, friend. What's your name? Oh yeah, exaggeration to prove a point. Glad to see you again. Seriously, you sound so fake you can compete with Alex Clark. And I'm serious, he's a big one. If what you're saying is true, then Cartoon Network would have taken this out of the air. Is that why it's in Hulu?
But even if you get past the animation, the characters provide nothing to like. They're bland at best and jerks at worst. The voice acting's really awful, and since the
Well, Phantom Strider screwed you over again, because in another one of his videos that came out after this, he said this.
Solvers. I admit, it's a seizure-inducing ugly fest, but I actually thought the voice acting was okay. It's certainly good by worse cartoon standards. I mean, hey, we even get the voice of Bender in here.
Greetings, problem solvers.
Just maybe turn your monitor off when watching. And with
Keep in mind that this was on his top 10 worst modern cartoons, and he used all of his footage. Well, looks like you left out that little detail, so your claim would have been bullshit. I found it and I'm using it.
Since the show looks so bad, I could barely get into the plots. My advice? Stay away from this show. It'll probably give you a seizure from watching it. Remember Happy Tree Friends Gross Out? Yeah, that was really bad. But you know what's worse? Watching blood and disgusting sexy innuendos at the same time.
Remember about how he said that Happy Tree Friends would have been number 4, like a long time ago? Well, this is his point. This is number 6, and you said that Happy Tree Friends would have been at number 4, but you claim it's better. So Mr. Pickles actually should have been number 3, 2, or maybe even 1. But
This is Mr. Pickles. After watching the first episode, I knew that this was going to be a bad show. The first episode involves some really stupid jokes that I don't get, and the gross out here is horrifying. The dog literally kills a prostitute and wears her body parts.
yeah, I agree with you on that, but the video you're actually talking about is the pilot. It's really hard to notice, but Adult Swim greenlit it immediately after because he thought it was funny as hell. Also, the gross out and fun and not funny jokes. You're gonna expand upon that?
What? That's one of the most disgusting things I've ever seen. The animation is both really lazy and really gross. They rely entirely on stupid shock humor that never gets a laugh out of me. The characters...
I'm sorry, do you even know what lazy is at that point? You're calling lazy for literally everything, even though it's either supposed to be like that or it's just an editing mistake. I'm gonna look up a dictionary and I'm gonna show you. Lazy. Number 1. Unwilling to work or use of energy. I'm very lazy by nature. This doesn't make any sense because literally after that he said that it relies on stupid gross outs, making it shows effort. And the other definition doesn't really make any sense. It's like one of the words that you can use multiple times but have different meanings. My point is that you're basically calling lazy on things that are intentionally made to look bad because, well, they look gross, so I'm calling it lazy. No.
If there was ever a show I would be annoyed all the way through that wasn't a SpongeBob episode and instead a whole show, it'd be freaking Fanboy and Chum Chum.
Yeah, I loved the show as a kid though. I'm not too ashamed to say that since the show is more obnoxious than just plain stupid, and it's more acceptable for a kid to be into that kind of stuff. I still don't really think it's that awful though. Don't get me wrong, it's not a good show either by any means. But in my personal opinion, this show is just nowhere near as bad as Problem Solvers. But hey, it's your video, Yosh. I'm just here to give my opinion.
Okay, I do like your point on how you liked it back as a kid. And I do like that, sure. But when he said that his opinion doesn't really matter because it's Yoshi's video, that's the part that ticked me off. This is a collaboration. The other partner is supposed to have a point in this too. And so if he liked it back then this shouldn't be as high as it is right now, right?
The first obvious thing to hate about this show is one thing. It's annoying! Our two main protagonists are like SpongeBob and Patrick on speed, only except they're more annoying. The character designs look really lazy. They look like what you get when you put rejected Rugrats designs into a CG show.
Okay, first off, I have a problem. You said lazy. And when you say lazy, I know you're lying. Also, rejected Rugrats? I mean, I can understand. Chum Chum, Fanboy, he looks like a teenager. Sure, they do sound like kids, and act like kids, but they're really teeny.
And then there's the voices. Oh dear God, the voices are just terrible. Is there even a script written for these guys? The voices sound like listening to a little kid screaming their asses off, and the concepts behind these episodes is really confusing. There's one episode where the two main characters swap their noses and top it off with gross out. How is this supposed to be entertaining? This isn't funny, it's just really irritating. The show's constantly...
Okay, not even talking about what your partner said, that it's not really awful. But it's for kids. I mean, I'm 12 and I don't like it, but still other kids. Honestly, by what you're saying right here, you're saying that you're basically a little prick. Little prick that loves tormenting TV shows and not torment the ones that actually deserve it, like Peppa Pig. Now I have to do even more work by listening to the rest of your video. When can we be
Constantly on speed and never has any quiet or calm moments. It's like they think that if they keep the show really hyper, it'll keep the kids entertained. But all that will do is just keep me away from this stupid, annoying, worthless piece of crap.
Okay, I even found even more problems to do. The reason why it's hyper is because it's part of the show. You can't really complain it was part of the show. Plus, if you do that, you put Mighty Magistores at like number 1.
For a while, the worst Adult Swim show was Mr. Pickles. But then King Star King shows up. And now I found another least favorite show. Oh boy, now we're really getting into the really disgusting stuff. I don't know how to feel about this show. The show, I think, is about King Star King trying to stop this evil bunny? I can't tell, simply because of how much stupid scenes this show keeps incorporating. The animation is also really lazy. There's never a time when the animation looks good. This
is even worse when you said lazy and problem solvers and Mr. Pickles combined. It's supposed to look like that. And plus, it's not lazy. It actually has the effort to. It shows effort. The effort is put into making it as gross as possible. Okay, now I'm a broken record. That transition showed it, and now I'm a broken record. You ruined me.
This show looks so bad, I literally vomited multiple times while I was watching this show. I don't really have much else to say here, so let's just move on.
Hello, exaggeration to prove a point, my old friends. Here to see me again.
We can consider this show as an adult equivalent of SpongeBob, where it used to be good, but went really downhill after a few seasons. That show is Family Guy.
Oh god, no. I already know what you're gonna say. It's gonna be lazy. Well, actually, if you do say that, I am gonna agree with you. You're gonna say that it's gross. You're gonna say that it's humorless. You're gonna say that it's gross out everywhere. And that even though you're not supposed to put it because you're supposed to put seasons 1 through 13. It shouldn't even be eligible for this list because the show started in the 90s. And even then, modern Family Guy does not count. And guess who did the same thing?
If you want me to be honest, the worst show Nickelodeon ever did was Fred the Show. But the worst cartoon they ever did was this one, Breadwinners.
The animation seems not too good, but not the worst thing I've seen either. It's kind of in the middle for me. I can't say much about this though, from me only watching 2.5 episodes, but judging from the fact that I didn't even make it through the second one, should say something about this show.
For me,
actually, I mean, I like you, but you can't really say that. You can't really have your own opinion because of the animation. And because if its animation is okay, then it should be higher than this. Unpopular opinion number 4. Also, 2.5 videos isn't enough to have your own opinion on it. You have to watch more of the videos. At least the other partner has something I want to smash his computer with.
For me, the animation is pretty bad. In fact, I think this is probably the laziest animation I've ever seen. I mean, from the first minute this show started, I couldn't guess who the two main characters were supposed to be.
You said that Pickle and Peanut was even more lazier than Breadwinners. Yeah, Breadwinners is at number 2 because it's lazy. What's your point exactly? You keep changing up porn was your laziest. First, it was Pickle and Peanut, then Breadwinners, then Pickle and Peanut, then Problem Solvers, then King Star King, then Mr. Pickles, then King Star King again, and now you went back to Breadwinners. Wow, am I supposed to learn something from you? Because I don't know about you, but I'm...
At first I thought they were frogs, but as it turns out, they're ducks. Yeah, ducks. It's crazy because characters like Donald Duck and Daffy Duck are supposed to look like real ducks. How am I supposed to immediately guess these two are ducks?
What their occupation is, what the title is, what their town is. Do you see him in the picture?
That being said though, I actually do think the character designs look pretty cute, and the backgrounds and how they look pixelated is really cool, but everything else the show has to offer is really tedious. First of all, you need to be careful with all your pop culture references, because a lot of people might not get it. All of your video game references won't make a lot of sense to kids, because they may not have even played these video games.
YouTube. YouTube was a thing back then, right? I think they would have caught 80. I kind of remember I was watching Shantae and the Pirate's Curse back then when it came out. By what you stated, you kind of sound like one of those church moms that don't let their kids watch YouTube, which is kind of the smart thing to do. But how will they still know?
Second, the overwhelming amount of butt jokes is really annoying. No one wants to see these two idiots shaking their butts to the screen. The gross out is pretty disgusting as well, and the music is just lazy. And another thing, the characters never shut up! It's like Fanboy and Chum Chum. They're always on speed. They never stay still for a few seconds. They think that if they get really hyper, it'll keep the children entertained. But all it does is annoy me even more.
Are you talking about your Fanboy and Chum Chum rap? I can do that too! Exact same thing that I said before. The hyper is a part of the show. You can't stop it if you want. I mean, you and your partner may not like it, but I kind of like it. And kids might as well.
And as for the plots, I never followed them. In fact, this show also has some bright flashing colors that actually gave me a migraine one time. Needless to say, I hate this show, and it's a very close second to number one. Very, very close. But there's one show that is much worse. The one show that makes me pissed off, angrier than many of these other shows. I cringe every time I'm watching it.
Sticks?
No!
Just kidding.
But we both can agree that this show is beyond terrible. So, let's just get into it.
Okay, I know exactly when you're going to say this. Phantom Strider use. Teen Titan.
Teen Titans Go. This show is the most annoying, stupidest, unfocused, ridiculous, worthless pieces of television that we have ever seen.
Man, as a fan of the old series, I can say this. I don't have a lot of memories watching Teen Titans, but I do remember very well that I used to love coming home after school to watch it. I loved Teen Titans, but then Teen Titans Go came along. And I have to say, this show is a disgrace to the original Teen Titans and Cartoon Network shows in general. I really don't understand why they thought turning Teen Titans into this pile of hogwash was a good idea. Yeah, I understand.
Hello, exaggeration to point up, my old friend. Here to see me again. You're really gonna annoy me this time.
And the thing is, everyone keeps saying that it's like the worst show on Cartoon Network ever, but when you really take it apart, the only things that are wrong with it is that the characters are stupid, and that, you know, they rebooted the original. And that's it. Everyone else either says the same thing over and over again, or exaggeration.
Yeah, I understand it's more of a reboot and it's not going to be exactly the same, but golly, this isn't even remotely similar to the old series. They just took the old characters, slapped their names on some 4-year-old looking kids and gave them costumes. Maybe this show would have been okay or mediocre at best if there wasn't already a show that came before it. When you do a reboot, you have to at the very least respect the original source material in some way. This show doesn't even look like it's trying.
Sure,
It's really not a reboot. It's a spin-off. If it was a reboot, then a lot of things would have been changed right then.
Or you could say, oh, this show ain't that bad, but believe me, this show is an insult to everyone that watches it. I get it, it's a spin-off show, but you've got to keep your characters in a similar personality than before. The characters are probably the worst thing about this show. Robin becomes an idiot, Raven is just bland and actually interesting, Starfire is also an idiot, and Cyborg and Beast Boy are the most annoying, unforgivable, stupidest characters that ever existed. How rude, loud, and inconsiderate everybody is just nothing but pain. Not to mention just how stupid a lot of the jokes are. None of them come in at the right points, and many of them don't make much sense to me. And probably what I hate the most about this show is how insulting it is. It often insults the quality of the original show, insults people that actually hate the show, and it even insults people that actually watch the show, even insulting their own fans. How
Exaggeration for the point, my old friend. Here to see me again, I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah, insulting the haters, insulting the quality. Yeah, I agree with you on that. But how is it insulting the fans and the people who watch it? Not going to explain anything? Not your partner? Well, then it's all bullshit.
How can anyone look at this show and say it's good? It is by far one of the most annoying and stupidest shows that has ever existed. And remember, if you love or hate any of these shows, there's completely nothing wrong with that. I'm not judging any of these shows by what everybody else thinks of them. This is my list depending on how I felt about this show.
Okay, you basically ruined yourself. By saying that, you ruined yourself by... And remember when I said you dug multiple graves? Yeah, that was the 7th grave you dug.
And another thing too, this show got nominated for a KCA. It didn't deserve any award. That's how much I hate this show. Oh,
That award wasn't for Teen Titans Go. It just said it was one of the favorites. The winner was SpongeBob SquarePants.
oh, by the way, Cartoon Network, stop telling me it's your new favorite show. You know perfectly well that Steven Universe is my favorite show, not fucking this.
Yo.
Jesus Christ, your opinion does not matter. Jeez. Also, it's not Cartoon Network's fault that they don't know what your favorite show is. And guess whose favorite show was also... Go on. Guess. Guess who we've been talking to for this entire time. And yeah, that's the end of the video. He just keeps repeating himself over and over.
And hello, darkness, my old friend. Here to see me